Welcome back to Explore Your Enthusiasm. I'm Tara Swiger. This is episode 309, and it has been a minute after publishing an episode every week for over 6 years. The pandemic plus life really threw me for a loop, and it has been 4 months since I've produced a regular weekly podcast. Well, I have good news right off the bat is that I am going back to my weekly schedule of podcasts, hopefully, if everything works out. So this week, we're going to talk about the big changes in my life and business. I'm going to update you on massive life-changing changes. And I'm also going to talk about why I made the changes that I did and what lessons you can learn from my process to apply to your own business. So next week, we're going to talk more about navigating the transitions you may be experiencing in your life and business. Today, I'm going to tell you a little bit of the behind the scenes of mine. First, the biggest, most life-altering change is that we are adopting our son, Judah. Yeah, we have been his legal guardians since he was born on July 6th, 2020. And the story of how he came into our lives is really magical and amazing. It was not foster care and it was not traditional agency adoption. It was totally different. We're gonna wait to share that story until the adoption is finalized, which will be around January or February. As it was unfolding, as I was learning about his existence and what was happening, I kept an audio diary. So we will edit those together into a podcast episode if we still feel like that's the right thing to do for him and our family and the privacy. So we're just kind of feeling into it right now. But even though you'll have to wait, you will hear what we were going through in real time when that podcast episode comes out sometime in 2021. Now, in the meantime, just know that I am over here with a newborn and I am loving it. That is why there wasn't an episode in July or August. Instead, I had a baby. So you can see our birth announcement over on Facebook. I will link it up into the show notes. Go to the show notes, taraswiger.com/podcast 309. It'll be linked to wherever you're listening to or watching this right now. So you can go over there and see the whole birth announcement. And it's a cute little face. The second big change is what I want to talk to you about today. Before I even knew Judah existed, before we even knew we were adopting a newborn, I announced that I was opening the Starship in mid-June for the very last time ever. Now, as you may know, if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, I opened the Starship back in 2011. I've been doing it for 9 years, and it has guided hundreds of makers, artists, and designers through courses on profitability, marketing, creating a goal, and following through on it. Those classes were combined with a community of fellow business owners, which we called captains, who got together each week for a check-in, and we had a forum where the captains could ask their questions and get feedback as they built their business, as they applied the lessons to their business, and I did a monthly Q&A where I would answer any questions as they were going through the course. Over the last 9 years, the Starship has changed a lot. It's still serving current members. It's just not taking in any new members because the community is still so supportive and encouraging, and it's a great place to ask questions. So that's going to just stay alive, but I'm not going to be opening it to new captains. The Starship's been my primary job for the last 9 years. It has generated multiple 6 figures, and for huge portions of the last 9 years, it has been 80 to 90% of my family's income. The Starship was, as far as I know, the first community and had the first classes of its kind. When I started it, there were absolutely classes for businesses that were online, but none of them were focused on makers and designers, businesses who are operating on Etsy or Ravelry, and craft shows who also were interested in building online and using social media. There just wasn't lessons and classes about that. I know because I dug, and there definitely weren't communities where you could hang out with other people who were doing it and they would be open and honest. Keep in mind, the Starship started before there were Facebook groups. You had to build a group on your site to have a group or do a list serve. It's old school. So that actually brings us to the 2 main reasons why I was ready to close the Starship to new members. Now, the first reason is something I've been thinking a lot about for the last year or two, And that is that there's now more classes available forever. Really good classes that I recommend that y'all take because they're amazing. Either I've taken them or my students have taken them and learned so much. Also, as there become more classes, the online landscape of online business and social media has changed dramatically. When I started teaching people how to build their craft business, the culture around business and selling, and especially doing it online, was completely different. The women that I worked with, the first Starship captains, told me that I was the only one in their life saying, hey, if you want to do this, you can do this. It is worth your time and attention to make it profitable. You can market your work with authenticity and integrity and make money. It's okay to make money from this. Like, that used to be the message I would have to give people. It is okay to make money from this. Now, the culture has shifted a lot since then. Now you hear follow your dreams, make money at home. You could be making money online. You could be growing your Instagram account and you would just get paid to live your life because people will pay you to be an Instagram influencer. I am happy that the cultural beliefs about who can be paid for what and what counts as work have shifted. I'm so glad. I think that a more holistic approach to our life and our work is healthy. I think that getting paid for things that have been traditional women's work is awesome. But the problem is when the message shifts away from you can do this to you should do this. And I've noticed, especially during the pandemic, that a lot of the messages that online business people, teachers are trumpeting, the message is, you should do this. Now is the time. Make money from home. You can do this. Anybody can do this. Get to it. That can lead to a lot of pressure, especially when you might be in a period of life where you are the least able to work on your business. If you are homeschooling your kids for the first time ever, you are less able to work on your business than you were last year at this time. If you, your office, which is the case for me, your office is now shared by your spouse, you might be the least ever able to work on your own thing because you don't have the space or the time or the quiet that you used to have. So these messages aren't helpful. They're just like shaming. And here's the thing, and I've been saying this since the beginning, owning a business is not for everyone. Just like being a doctor or a teacher or an engineer is not for everyone. It's a great career. I love owning a business. Lots of you like owning a business, but I don't think we help anybody by glamorizing one career path over another. It's just a job, and if you love it, it's great. And if it's not for you and you're risk averse, you shouldn't be pressured into doing it. You shouldn't feel like it's the thing you should be doing. The environment has changed. So although my message hasn't changed, I'm just uncomfortable with it in the current environment. So yes, you can absolutely build a profitable business from your craft and your art and your design, but here's the main thing. At this point, it does not come down to knowledge. All of the knowledge you would ever need is out there. In fact, I've put it all in classes that are already running on Creative Live, the most affordable way you could ever get my classes or work with me. Or you can read my books, Map Your Business and Market Yourself. Everything you need is in there for way more affordable than an online class and one-on-one time with me. So all of the knowledge is out there. Even if you want to learn from me, so much more information is out there. So it doesn't come down to finding the knowledge. It comes down to follow through. In my experience, the thing holding you back from your dreams and goals is not knowledge, it's a follow through. And follow through really comes down to two areas. One, knowing yourself and what you need in order to do what you want to do, and then building the structure around you that supports you, who you really are. You can't try to be like everybody else and expect to succeed. You have to build the structure around you that lets you work in the way you're going to work best instead of beating yourself up for not working the way other people work. Two, the other thing that holds people back from follow through is your mindset. Getting real about what it takes, getting some mental grit, staying emotionally well, taking care of yourself, having a growth mindset, not a fixed mindset. All things we've talked about on the podcast before, we're going to go deeper into coming up. That and committing to your dream and continuing to have a growth mindset as you work, that's what holds people back from following through on their dreams and goals, not knowledge. The more I think about it, the more I realized that I would rather spend my time helping you follow through, helping you with those two things I talked about. I'd rather help you with that than help you with profitability or marketing, of which there's lots of great information out there, much of it by me already available. And you can learn it from other people as well. So with those big changes in the culture and how we think about business, that has really affected how I think about what I'm doing here with y'all and what I want to communicate in my own marketing. Because marketing is just communication. It's talking to each other. And what message do I want to be putting into the world? That's got me thinking about it. And here's the takeaway for your own business, a little side note for your own business. You are never marketing in a vacuum. Marketing messages are always in a context with everything else going on. And your marketing message is just when you're talking about what you sell or what you do or why you do it. So it's always in context with everything else going on, both in your work at large and in the lives and the subculture of the people you're talking to. So what might have worked 5 years ago might not work today. What mattered to your customer in December might not matter to your customer in July, right? Because you're not in a vacuum. You're always in context. So I want you to think about that with your own marketing. That doesn't mean that you stop marketing or you stop sharing your work. You just realize, what is the context? How are people receiving this right now? What else might be going on in their lives? Now, I want to be really clear. I could absolutely keep selling and marketing the Starship and my business classes in a way that was very aligned and very in integrity if I wanted to. I feel like I have shared my business classes and opened the Starship in a very authentic way, in a way that is encouraging to other people and gives them hope. Even if they end up not buying, they still walk away feeling better than when they started. And that's always been my goal. I feel like I've stayed in integrity with my values the entire time I've had a business. So if I still wanted to sell it, I absolutely could. That's not really what it comes down to. It comes down to me thinking about it and deciding if I want to or not. Not can I or should I. So that brings us to the real reason why I won't be opening the Starship or selling my business classes again. And that is that I just feel done. I just feel like it's complete. I have thought about marketing and social media and profitability and how it plays out in the business of Etsy sellers and Ravelry sellers and artists and makers and designers. And I've learned and researched, and then I've packaged that into courses and podcast episodes to clearly communicate to you in a way that would transform your business. I have done that for a decade, and I feel like it's enough. You're not going to do the same thing probably forever, because your interests and needs are going to change, and that of the community that you want to serve are going to change and shift and grow. And that's okay. A lot of times we think that if you don't keep doing the thing you started out doing, that something's wrong, but I think that's just growth. That's just good. I feel good about it. So there is absolutely so much more I could learn and teach about. I could learn about the different platforms. I could dive into what's going on Etsy and Ravelry, because a lot of stuff is going on there, but I just don't want to. And I think that that's the hardest thing to do as an entrepreneur, is to look at what you could do and realize a lot of it is just not for you. You just don't want to do it, or it won't be fun to do it, or it will be a slog to do it. And that's okay. You don't have to. But this is also the most important thing for business success, is to be really clear about the work you're willing to do over and over and over, what you can do consistently and sustainably, and build a business around that. I don't think that focusing on using a specific tool is really where most of you guys who are listening to this, who want to have a business or follow a goal or a dream, I don't think that's what you need help with. I don't think that optimizing Instagram Reels is going to be the thing that changes your business and your life. Yes, could I sell you a class on it? Absolutely. But is that what's best for you? I don't think so. Will your business be revolutionized by you optimizing Instagram? I don't think so. In fact, if it was going to be revolutionized by optimizing Instagram, you might have already done it. But why haven't you? Because you're not following through on consistency and sustainability. So selling you a class that isn't actually going to be the thing that gets you where you want to go is not an integrity. It's not what I want to be doing with my time or energy. So what would be an integrity, and what I find fun, and what I think that will actually help most of you listening, is to talk here on the podcast, keep teaching about follow through and emotional well-being, and accepting yourself enough to build the life that you really want and create the structure around you so that you can follow through. And we're going to dive into what I mean by emotional well-being in upcoming episodes. The main thing is that not working on your emotional well-being and your kind of mood management, confidence, joy, enthusiasm is what's holding a lot of us back from following through on our dreams and goals. So let's work on that. It's maybe not as glamorous, it's not as easy to package. It's your mindset and your emotional well-being that probably needs more work than your Instagram reels. You might be listening and you might think, well, you've said I don't need more knowledge, but I actually do need knowledge. I want to learn more about Instagram or email marketing. I truly don't know the basics of marketing. The good news is I don't need to be teaching about this all new for you to learn about it. There are so many places teaching about it with integrity and smarts. For example, I'm going to give you some right now, and these are all linked up in my show notes. I highly recommend Sarah Tasker's podcast and book called #Authentic. Listen to the podcast, read the book. Oh, it's so good. She has courses on her site for Instagram that sell out right away. They're super popular and they're super effective. Also, Megan Alman is a friend and co-teacher at Creative Live. She creates amazing classes about Pinterest, about taking selfies, about selling products. She's a jewelry designer, so she really knows about using these platforms to sell a handmade, high-end luxury product. Go learn from her. I'll link her up in the show notes. Also, my book, Map Your Business, helps you define your goal, break it down into doable steps, and then follow a plan. My book, Market Yourself, talks about the basics of your marketing messages, who you're serving and how you're going to serve them and how you're going to communicate with them and what language they will understand when you use it. Plus, I have 4 or 5 classes on Creative Live about time and getting things done and creating your marketing messages if you want to learn in a class. So there's lots of classes out there. If you want to learn, you feel like you don't have the knowledge, absolutely places that I heartily recommend you go and check out. Those will all be in the show notes. So you might be wondering, all right, well, you said this was 80 to 90% of your income and this was your primary job for the last decade. So what does that mean? What does it mean for me and my business? What's next? Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know. I know. I was going to wait to record this episode until I did know and I had a firm, wonderful answer to be like, come with me into the next thing. I don't know what that is. Then I realized it's going to be much more authentic, much more real, much more helpful to you to share this with you now when I don't know, to let you see that it's okay not to know. Because then I can share the journey of figuring it out, of building the next phase of my business with you here on the podcast. Let's do it together. You are probably going through a big transition in your business and life as well because of the pandemic, because of schools, because of all the things. So let's just talk about transitions together. That's what I'm going to talk about in the next few episodes. So one aspect that I am sure about is that I love doing this podcast. It feels very authentic. It's an integrity because here's the thing, it's free. If you don't want to learn about what I'm talking about, just don't listen. So it's ultimate in integrity because I get to talk about what I think will benefit you and what I'm most interested in, and you get to decide to listen or not listen. I'm going to keep doing this podcast every week, baby willing. And I am going to kind of think of this next period of time, which I have no idea how long it'll last, but I'm thinking about it as season 2 of the podcast. Yes, that means that season 1 was 6 years long. Hopefully. I mean, I don't know how long season 2 will be. I guess until the next time I need to take a 4-month break because of a global pandemic and a new baby. Hopefully those two things never overlap again in the same way. But in season 1, I hope you build your creative business through marketing and pricing. In season 2, I'm going to walk alongside you as I pivot my own business, and I'll share that process, and we'll talk more about follow through and emotional well-being and tools you can use to manage that. And I'll share how I'm making decisions in my own business, how I'm thinking things through when it comes to customers, products, marketing. I'll just share my own. I won't be teaching classes on it. I'm just going to be talking about what I'm doing. So we'll still be talking about goal setting, follow through, mindset, enthusiasm, and whatever else comes up as we navigate this very weird time together. It's full of transitions and change for all of us. So it's my hope that by shifting the focus a little bit, it's even more helpful to you where you are right now. If that doesn't sound like what you need, unsubscribe, please. Don't tell me. Just unsubscribe. But if you know others who are going through big transitions in their life, whether it's related to business or not, I'm hoping this podcast will help them as well. So if they're just going through transitions, please share the podcast with them. I have always had listeners who don't have businesses. Many of you who listen don't have businesses, but you've still gotten something out of the show, whether we're talking about following enthusiasm or identifying your goals or breaking them down into steps. So we're going to do season 2 will be even more accessible for those who are looking to build a life with enthusiasm and growth mindset, whether that involves a business or not. Maybe you want to work on your relationship. Maybe you want to change your career. Maybe you want to go back to school. Maybe you want to change how your house works. Maybe you want to start homeschooling full time, or you have to start homeschooling full time. Maybe you're just transitioning in a million ways. So if that is one of your friends who isn't listening now, please share the podcast. You can share in whatever app you're listening to. There's usually a little share button. You can just text them and say, hey, go look this up in your favorite podcast app. It's on all podcast apps, plus it's on YouTube, so you can watch the video over on YouTube. Hi, YouTube. Share it on social media, or send them to taraswiger.com, where they will find all podcast episodes and full transcripts and links to everything. It's over on taraswiger.com. I hope that today's insight into why I chose to make a big decision in my business was helpful or interesting to you. If so, come tell me over on Instagram. I'm at taraswiger. DM me, slide into my DMs. I would love to talk to you there. Thank you so much for listening, and I wish you a very enthusiastic week, and I will be back next week.